a do and a don't list for somebody like Kelly. You know, like, hey,
been down that road.
Once you take this job, these are 5 phone calls you need to make. Here's 10. Don't ever call. Like,
we've tried.
Don't mess with that crowd. You know, like, you better watch yourself. If you do, you better watch yourself.
People have tried.
God, can y'all imagine
cautionary tales along the way
after Coach O, like what they did for BK, like the guidelines they gave him, like his do's and don'ts.
I would think that BK would like they wouldn't have to do that with him. Because he just came from Notre Dame. Like, that's, like, the biggest.
You think they wouldn't have to do that with him?
Yeah. They, like, because he understands, like.
Yeah.
He understands how to
act. But this is different. I know he understands that you're in the SEC and you're here at LSU. And you're taking the place of Coach O. That's a lot to deal with. You know?
I mean, they're still O backers.
Oh, absolutely. There are a lot of O backers.
You still think there's O backers to the point where believe he should be running the program over Kelly?
No, but
I still think that there's O-backers in the place like they like him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They love him.
Wish it would have turned out differently.
Yeah, like they didn't want him to leave.
I mean, to a degree, so do I.
Me too.
You know,
yeah. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't anybody?
Really, for
nobody
as
wants
much
that
as
to happen.
Point and laugh at O. I mean, dude, you know what you get in O. O didn't change from the time that he took the job to the day he did. He just got a lot more money. You know what I mean? And he was a little bit more public. I mean, that stuff was. That's not a surprise to a lot of people.
To your same point, Louisiana's the only place that would have hired him.
The only place that would let him go.
Yeah. Not the only place that would have fired him, but they're the only place that would have hired him to be the head coach.
Right. Well, I mean, look around.
Yeah.
I mean, has his phone rung? I mean, it hadn't rung one time.
I don't know.
No, of course, Ole Miss gave him an opportunity, but I'm saying even after that, and Louisiana was still like
at that point,
give it a shot.
People had to take a shot on O.
Yeah.
It was too big to ignore.
What he was doing in recruiting year in year out. I mean, look what Houston Nutt did with Ogeron's teams.
Exactly.
Won back-to-back Cotton Bowls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they were pumping out pros during that time at Ole Miss. That's what Ogeron was selling. He was selling the same thing, Ole Miss, that he sold LSU. Hire me as the voice, the head, the recruiter. Let me go get the players, and I will put smart people around me to make sure that we keep it on the rails. I'll get Lane Kiffin. I'll get Dave Aranda. I'll get Joe Brady. I'll get Frank Wilson. I mean, he's pitching all these names. That's how they were. Panamsky and Ogeron were pitching the job like, hey, you hire us, you get Lane Kiffin and Dave Aranda too. You know what I mean? It was more like, and we'll get the players.
Right.
And we will get the players. So, I mean, hey, look, nobody bit the bait harder than me on that. You know, really. I mean, I was saying that is a formula that can win. Ogeron getting talent.
Yeah, it is.
As long as you are, because one thing that's going to happen is those coordinators are going to turn over. If LSU's winning at a high level, then people are going to come in and take those guys. So you have to either have a farm system of young guys built up where you got to go out and evaluate coaches. You got to make sure, like, that's your big challenge is like, I got to keep those roles filled and filled with talent. I can't miss. And if he misses, like on a Bo Pelini, he missed. You're done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's your. I mean, like I just won the national championship. Yeah, but the wheels have fallen off now because you don't have smart people around you, and you're being exposed. And that's the part of the formula that we told you at the beginning. If you swing and miss on, you know, like he swung and missed on Lane Kiffin, and people were like, "Oh no, what's he gonna do?" And you know, he was like. Even internally, he was like, what are we going to do?
Call my best friend, call my friend.
He was like, who do we trust? He was like, Steve.
Yeah.
You know I mean, like, give it to Coach Insminger. You know, I was like, all right. You know what I mean? Like,
and Insminger didn't want it.
He didn't really want it, and you looked around, and there was a bunch of 30-year-olds calling plays at SEC schools, and Insminger at the time was 60. You know what I mean? And he was like, I don't know if am I the guy? You know, am I the guy for this? And, you know, he hit lightning in a bottle with Joe Brady.
And Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Because at the same time.
And then when
that's the thing about football, about sports. Like, you might coach for a decade and get Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
For, you know, if you coach 10 years, you might get one player that's revolutionary like that. You might also get one coach that comes along that is with you that changes the whole direction of your program. to get them on campus at the same time when it's only a 1-year window, I mean, that's
greatest college football
what
team
the
of all
greatest
time.
college football team.
I know, right?
That's how it happens.
Yeah, because Ogeron could get I got the guys. I got the talent.
Yeah.
I just need somebody to show them how to play. And then you
And
had
he can't do it.
And then, yeah, exactly. And then whenever
Which is so wild to me that like all these head coaches, they don't really know the technicalities of the sport. They have a million people around them doing it.
Well, it's just
like
such
they
a-
just need to be a great inspirational coach, and they need to recruit.
Well, I
Obviously,
think
they need to hire
there's so
people.
many,
but
there's so many legs to the octopus.
so many.
Well, I think you have to have a specialty.
Yeah.
You have to have a special skill set. And I think in football, to me, to be respected by the players, it needs to be something on the ground level. Like Ogeron's specialty was recruiting.
Yeah.
Which is tough to be the head coach and be a specialist in that, because recruiting is nothing but ass kissing.
Right.
And not to say that Ogeron's ass kissing, but at some point you have to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you gotta kind of like show your human side to recruit. And that was what was beautiful about O. He could do that better than anybody because he didn't. He was very self-deprecating. He was very honest about his faults. So that really played well in the living room. Mom got that. Dad got that. The brother got that. The girl. I mean, everybody got that. The player got that. But then when you show up and he's the head coach, well, now I got to hold you accountable of being on time at meetings, and now I got to hold you accountable of making sure that you give all your effort on the field. Like all of that stuff. Like it's tough to be the real nice guy and then be the dickhead, you know, when they show up. I mean, that's that part of if your specialty is recruiting and you're a head coach, that line is very difficult to walk. You know what I mean? If I'm an offensive minded head coach like Lane Kiffin, that's when the job was open for LSU. The reason why I was kind of saying, I didn't know Kelly was on the board. Just kind of by being out there, Lane Kiffin to me was the safest pick, because with Kiffin, you'll always have a quarterback. And to me, football is a quarterback's game. If you got one, we're competitive, right? Like it doesn't matter where else you're non-competitive. If we got that dude, we can win. And with Kiffin, I think you'll always have a quarterback because his specialty is offense. His specialty is developing that position, play calling. It'll always be creative.
Yeah.
Saban's Kirby Smart. You know what I mean? Like, when you play for Kirby Smart, he's going to bark at you. He's going to yell at you. He's going to MF you. He's going to get in your face. He's going to spit in your, you know what I mean? When he's barking at you, he's going to be very intense. So I think he says that when he's recruiting. He's also a great recruiter. Right, so
and he's also a great defensive coach. Though he has a specialty.
He's got a specialty.
You
know, he's got a specialty.
But O didn't have an on-field specialty, right?
What's that?
O didn't have an on-field specialty.
He
right?
was a defensive line coach. He was never a coordinator.
Yeah.
Right, a coordinator is the guy that's calling the plays. He's the one that's installing the formations. He's the one that's installing the schemes, the packages, going through the calls. He's calling the defense. He's teaching the class. If you're in the classroom, you recognize this guy's good. Or you also recognize this guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because don't think that if, you're sitting in a room with Derek Stingley or Kevin Minter or Kendall Beckwith or Patrick Peterson or Tyrann Mathieu, and you're on the board and you don't know what you're talking about, they do. So, you know what I mean? This isn't high school anymore where you can get away with just saying, hey, we're crashing here and make sure you make the tackle. Like, well, tell me how I'm going to do that. You know, I mean, so they know, and I think Ogeron in that setting is not his best.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think he's a beat my, like in the beginning of the game, like you're like, I'm going to run through a wall for this guy.
Yeah.
He could draw some
I'm going to kill somebody
Yeah.
for this guy. You know what I mean? But I don't really trust him to put me in the right position. You know what I mean? Like that's.
So he had to have all the people to do that for him.
So he had to have the thing. I think what makes a head coach is you have to have a specialty.
Yeah.
I got to have something I can fall back on. That the team, when we get into some adverse spots, you can look at me and you trust me like, hey, man, let me talk about defense. Let me talk about offense. Let me tell you how we're going to get out of this problem real quick, right? And where it can kind of calm everybody down. If you don't have that as a head coach, if you're not an X and O guy, Will Wade has to have an X and O guy sitting right here because he's a great motivator. He's a great recruiter. He's a great, I can relate. I'm close to, you know what I mean? Like I get him. Like if you're a player, when he's telling me what to, I don't know if I trust that. You know what I mean? But if somebody's telling me that's got some proven stuff, well, I trust that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just, you have to have a specialty. You have to be able to communicate. And I think, you have to be able to seek out talent. You got to, not only players, but people that can work alongside you. People that fit alongside you. People that you have to have that kind of pick up your weaknesses.
And when push came to shove for Coach O, that was his greatest downfall. I mean, you saw it in the conference that he gave when he said, well, what are you going to do? He's like, well, I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah.
And that's when everybody in the room was like, this is over. It's cooked.
Right.
Because there is no your way.
Right.
You don't have a way.
Right.
You don't have there's nothing, like Jordy said, there's no offense that you can fall back on or defense that you can fall back on. It's rip my shirt off. And it's like, oh, here comes the O show. And that's exactly what it was. And we all saw it coming. And there was nothing you could do about it but watch.
Man was
and
ripping
it was
his
like,
hair out at
yeah,
practice.
man, this is over.
I mean,
it was over week 1.
Well, yeah, you could argue like the last 2 head coaches before Kelly didn't really have an identity. I think that's one of the biggest draws to Kelly, especially from my standpoint, when you hear him talk football, how comfortable he is.
He is, you're right.
Talking the sport. Like he said it the other day, he's been a coordinator on both sides of the ball. He's been a linebackers coach. He's been an offensive line coach. He's been a running backs coach. He's been a recruiting coordinator. He's done it all. He's done it all. So he is a guy in a football program, in a football office, that when he walks around, he's got the respect from everybody that he comes into contact with, that they have an understanding, like, this guy knows ball, like he knows football, like he knows how to run the program. That is what LSU has been missing since Saban. Nobody has had confidence that who was leading LSU's program had a real understanding, really how to run a business. I mean, at the beginning, I mean, that's what they call themselves. That's a CEO role.
Yeah.
Well, if you're in that position as a CEO, you're a job operator. You know what I mean? You're just operating a company, operating a multi-million-dollar operation. And, it's the same flaws that happen there that expose Wall Street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're not buttoned up and have the right people in place or the right leaders in place and know how to run that part of the operation, well then, I mean, you're going to have holes that are glaring, and
You're going to get got.
Well, and there's too many people that care. Like
That's
true.
true.
Like the Mississippi State Hugh Freeze thing. I mean, what other sport, what other planet is a fan from an opposing sport going to go through the call log of a public cell phone of an opposing head coach at an SEC school until he finds the escort?
Right.
And turn them in.
And then turn him in.
Yeah.
I mean, there's too many people watching. There's too many people that care. And that's why I go back to what Brian Kelly did in making a move at special teams. And I don't mean to pounce on this, but I think Kelly had a real eye-opening moment in the sense of, hey, we played Alabama, we played Georgia, we played Auburn, we've played all these heavyweights in college football. The one thing I recognize, if I'm Kelly speaking, is what I just kind of take from is that he looked around and said, look, the people that are winning are not doing anybody any favors. There's no room for error here. I can't bring people in that don't really make a difference. Every single person in the operation has to have a skill that changes the day-to-day function of what's going on. I mean, and the high-level programs do. And one thing I love about Kelly is that he says he took the job to play Saban, to play smart, to play in the league. And I think he understands with the resources, the money,
He does.
the facilities, like, hey, there's no excuses.
He made that very clear
There's
in
no
all of his
excuses.
pressers. Yeah.
We're hiring the best people. We're getting the best resources. We're getting the best facilities. We're getting the best nutrition. We're getting the best. We're getting the elite people and product at every level of the program because that's what Alabama's doing. That's what Georgia's doing. And LSU's on that playing ground. They're on that. They can keep up. They can keep up with Georgia. They can keep up with Alabama. And, like we talked about the collective and boosters and money. where Matt McMahon's got to go secure his own pool, and Kim Mulkey's got to go secure her own pool, and Jay Johnson's got to go secure, his own pool as well. Brian Kelly's got his. The collective is all built for football. LSU has done a really good job of raising that money collectively in-house. Now, go spend it. Go get them. I mean, that's one thing that I'm not concerned about that, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, we were talking about how are they going to get the money?
We really were.
What are they going to do with the collective? Just Scott Woodward. That's what happened. Bayou Traditions. I mean,
I still don't know what it is.
Me either.
But I'm happy with it.
I know this.
I know it works.
They're not asking a lot for a lot more money. They must have something somewhere.